Truth be told, Pod.com. This is Pod18, and we're starting to get up there in numbers. Man, we have the original squad back together. The gang's all here. Let's give a cheer. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the players. The Prince of Persia, the King, the GNC representative himself. He's back from all those endorsements and all those phytoplasm shots. Ladies and gentlemen, Wolf Griffin.
How do you do? Missed everybody. I hope you're eating your vegetables, and I'm waiting to hear your results from the Wolf Challenge. Let me know how much weight you've lost.
I told you about that Wolf Challenge, because Wolf has came back about 10 pounds lighter. His skin is a little brighter, so I think he's been doing the right thing.
Holding up the mountains.
And next up, ladies and gentlemen, he is now known as the Puerto Rican Deacon.
Booyah!
Mr. Luis Fernandez.
Hello.
You there? You can't come in like that.
You know what? Maybe it has been that long. How dare you open with hello?
And just to give you guys where we're at right now, we have had an awesome bonding conversation off the air. We just sat and we've been shooting the breeze for what, about 2 hours. Just talking about things that we might release on a later show, but right now we're going to keep it top secret. Let's just say
after we're dead.
Man talk. And we clearly missed Wolf because we had to remember that we actually were trying to record early today because people had some things to do. So we're going to go ahead and dig into this show. Shout out to my man Vinny Fernandez. He is somewhere auditioning women for the Wolf Challenge, I'm sure of. And I'm sure he is being an innovator of sorts. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Woo! I'm hot, man.
Yeah.
It's 100 degrees.
It's very hot here in Georgia. We've been having 100+ degree weather. Stay in the house. Pay your AC, pay your electric bill. Because if you haven't paid Georgia Power, you are going to pay the piper.
There was a Georgia Power van right outside.
Oh, he ain't got enough food with mine. We up to date, baby. If I don't pay nothing else, we pay the power. Oh man, well it's good to be here. Hello world. We're gonna start out today, and we've been digging in, and we've been trying to take our show to a new level. We've been trying to bring you guys better content, better material, deeper topics to make you guys think a little bit more, man. We love to be entertaining, but also part of the show is we want to challenge you guys to think outside of the box, to take a certain point of view or a topic and look at it from a completely different perspective. So we're going to start out, we're going to talk about being trapped. How do good people get in bad situations? How do you find yourself in a dead-end job? Or how do you find yourself scraping the bottom of the barrel? Or better yet, how do you find yourself accepting jobs, positions, employment, girlfriends that are beneath you, that are lower than your level? How do you get to this point? How do you get to the point of the bare minimum? When does that happen? Because typically everybody starts out on the same level, and you go through life and you make plans and you develop ideas and you potentially have the idea to progress. But it doesn't always work out that way. Yes, sir.
You just said something that I kind of have to challenge.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do we truly all start off on the same level? And I'll give us an example. For instance, people who were born into money, basically.
Okay.
They can just go into the best colleges. It's their parents that can pay for it or whomever. Now, for me, or say for instance, even a lawyer. If you can afford, if you have that backing, you can afford the right lawyer or get into this college. We might be a lot smarter than them. Most likely, we are.
Right.
But because they have that edge,
right,
because of it might not even be family backing or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because they have that edge, does that consider us starting at the same level?
That is a very great point. And I guess I assumed that I was talking about the same level I was talking about all of us that grew up average, for lack of a better word, that grew up not poor but not rich. Like we're just right in the middle class.
Middle class, which
I know
is dying away.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I know they say that doesn't exist anymore. But, typically I know when I grew up, We were in the middle. We didn't have an access, but we had enough.
Gotcha.
We weren't poor, but we were just above the line.
Okay.
We were just had our heads above water. So, you know, and excuse me, I'm glad you corrected me on that, because everybody doesn't really grow up the same if you look at it from that perspective. But just from the people I know and talking about us in this room, I know we've all had similar beginnings.
Absolutely.
So Lou, weigh in on this, man. How do you know, because I know a great example. Like I said, I got to use us. We all work at the same job, and I definitely know that we're all above that job. We're all above the job that we work at. How did we get there?
Desperation, basically. I mean, in my case, it was a case of they were the first ones to call.
Mm-hmm.
So you just went with whoever was the first one to respond. You put in a whole bunch of applications, and you know they were the ones who called. I'd never even been to Swanee.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know where it was at.
I didn't know where it was, so when I got called, I had to MapQuest how to get there, and I just went up there, and that was that. It wasn't even a case of, oh well, do I want this job, or should I, look into it and see if this is what I want to do? It was just like, oh, you're offering it? Oh, okay. That's all it was. And then I'm afraid that's what a lot of people get into when they get a job. It's just like, oh, okay, you giving me a job? Okay, fine. Yeah, yes, whatever. And I think a lot of people, at least in my case, I've stayed because a little bit due to guilt. If I can give a little background, I spent about a year or so unemployed at one point.
Okay.
And I had never spent any time unemployed in my life.
Right.
And this was about a year or two before I started at this job. So naturally, when I got this job, it was like the challenge was, well, to prove that you can maintain a job again. Let's forget about the fact that I'd spent 10 years at one other job and another 8 years at another job prior to that. But now I had to prove myself all over again. So, hanging on to this job, and frankly, it just isn't working out. It just isn't working out for me. And, now that the economy hopefully is, on the way up rather than on the way down, hopefully something will change. But a lot of people I find are just clinging to these jobs with a death grip.
Yeah.
Could it be more so when we all get a job, and I can use myself for example. Yes, we're all better than this job, but a lot of times when you're at a job for a long time, even though you want to leave, you're kind of comfortable with it, whether you like it or not. Basically, the devil you know.
Absolutely.
So you're kind of afraid to, as they say, step out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Familiarity.
Me and Lou were having that conversation a few days ago, actually. I'm kind of similar to Lou. Mine was desperation. I was unemployed, and I was only unemployed for about 6-7 months. But as Lou alluded to, I'd never been unemployed that long. So for me, I was going crazy. I had my first child on the way, and I was unemployed. And actually, at the time, when I got this particular job, I had 2 other jobs on the line, but one was going to require like 2 months of training, unpaid.
Oh, Lord.
And the other one, the hours fluctuated. It wasn't full-time or part-time, it was just hours.
Anytime.
Oh, please.
And so I actually went and interviewed with this particular job. And then I got a call from our job now. And I went and I got hired in like 2 days. So it was just like first come, first serve for me. And out of those 3 jobs, I probably made the worst decision.
But you know what? I can't agree with that. I think you made a decision that was logical and economically sound for your situation. I mean...
Well, yeah, absolutely at that state in mind. But just looking at the long term now, I've been at our job for 2 years. I just hit my 2-year mark. And I never anticipated being there that long. For me, in my mind, it was a stepping stone. It's like, okay, I get in here and this will hold me down until I can find something better. And finding something better, this has been the hardest time I've ever had looking for another job.
Mr. Scott still is a stepping stone for you.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit knowing you in the beginning, you can just see, one, I mean, no offense to them, we work with 99% idiots.
Absolutely.
There are a few people in there, like the people at this table, who actually show some kind of shine about them.
Yeah.
Whether you're here, I mean, heck, I've been there 10 years. But again, at the time it was a different company, but whether you're there 2 years or 3 years, your mind is still thinking towards the future.
Right.
You got some people there 2 years, 3 years, they don't look past this. They just say, this is it. It's still a stepping stone for you, Mr. Scott.
And see, but that's another thing too. I cannot just take what I'm given because hands down, this isn't enough. It isn't nowhere near enough. It's not the tax on what I plan on doing. It couldn't cover the tax on what I plan on doing with myself. But I'm having the hardest time getting out of this hole. Honestly, I'm having a very hard time. And as you guys know, I've been going on interviews. I've been applying for jobs like crazy. Probably per week, I would say I probably do about 10 applications a week.
Wow.
That's average, probably about 1 or 2 applications a day. And out of those 10 a week, I might get one call back.
Do you do them online or actual paper?
Online.
That's the problem.
But see, it's hard because a lot of places tell you go online.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you're absolutely right. Every place I know that does the online application, it doesn't work. It should, but it
doesn't. They get
doesn't.
such a high volume of applications.
Exactly.
So it's like, what is going to differentiate me on paper? I never look as good on paper as I am in person.
Absolutely.
So that's the trick. It's like a game. How do I look good on paper enough to where my application stands out? And I've redone my resume so many times in the last year, man. Because that's really the key to your application is your resume.
Yes.
I've had someone else do my resume. I've done it. I've had other people look at it and edit it. I've tried to be as progressive as possible, and it's difficult. This is strange.
Doesn't this go back to another podcast we had done about getting jobs these days? You could be the most talented person in the world. If you don't know somebody on the inside, you're not getting in. I believe we spoke about that at one point.
Yeah, and the job I applied to this week, one of them that I'm excited about, and I hope that I get. I have a quote-unquote inside track, but the gentleman told me, if you can get past the computer part, I can get you the job. So the computer has to select my application, and then he has power. But before that point, he has no power. What it is now they have a lot with a lot of these jobs. They look for keywords on your application, on your resume, that directly correlates to the job. So if you don't get picked, and they could be missing out on their next CEO. But if you do, you get put into a smaller pool of people who are actually qualified for an interview.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what he told me. He said if you can get past the computer portion and they actually pull your application, I can take you from there. But the kicker is getting to him. And he's on the hiring board for this particular job.
And even he has to succumb to the power of the computer.
Right. Because that's what I kind of asked him. I was like, there's no way. He was like, nah, man. He said everything goes through this process pretty much. And once it gets through that, then I'm okay. But yeah, that in itself is a kicker. And you'd be surprised, in a lot of applications I do, the stipulations involved and what they want you to do. And even following up, like 10 years ago, you could just hound a job. You could just call them. Hey, I just want to check on my application. You can't even do that anymore. They have automated systems. You can't even get through to talk to a real person. Hi, if you're calling about your application, please be patient. Someone is reviewing it. Thank you. Have a good day.
As if they even have a number. It's now www.
Right.
If you have any questions.
So I guess the next question is from here, how do we get over this hump, man? Because it's a lot of people settling. And for most people, that's okay. I will not, and I cannot. I cannot see another 2 years from now, and we're still talking about this same job. That would completely unmotivate me. Like, I have to get out of there because as I pay attention to operations and management and the way things are done at our job, horrible. Some of the worst management I've ever seen, from the top to the bottom, from upper management to the middle to the supervisors.
Yes, sir.
The way things are ran does not make logical business sense.
Well, that's why I'm at an age where I'm looking into going into business for myself.
Absolutely.
Where all the effort that I'm putting into is going to come back to me twofold. I feel like these jobs are you're just putting money into someone else's pocket.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's been broke his entire